What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. How's everybody doing? Grab your coffee, sit back and relax. We're going to talk about another raid boss in Sepulcher, the first ones. We're pushing forward. I've got most of them down. I have all of them down except for Andy, actually, this week. Anduin's a tough fight, so I'm going to try and find a pug group to help me with that. But we got the rest of them down. And today, we are going to talk about Mr. Halondazee himself. I know it's Halondrus, but we're going to call him Halondazee. That's just what I've decided. We've got the sausage up here, and then we've got Halondazee down here. Okay? All right. That's what we're going to do. So I pugged this in a group, and the experience was actually ridiculous and hilarious, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But I just want to show you quickly the build that I ran for this boss fight. Now, Halondrus is a pure single target boss fight. There is no cleave at all. No AoE whatsoever. No ad phase. It's just him and that's it. One second. In a bit. So for that reason, I ran Witch Doctor Wolfbones. So that's the legendary that we're starting with. I ran Witch Doctor Wolfbones, and then the talent setup that I ran was very different. And I'm going to show you that right now. So I know many of you are wondering, like, what this even is over here, because nobody's ever taken this ability in their entire lives. But I actually ran Ice Strike on this boss fight with Witch Doctor Wolfbones, and it worked. And I'm going to show you, actually right now, I'll just pivot over here to this video. I'm going to show you the full VOD of the fight, but let's just look at this really quickly here. And it does a little bit of an explanation on why Ice Strike is actually a thing that you should take. So we'll look at this really quick.
Try it again.
Yep.
Oh, there he is.
I'll talk about it in a second here. Yeah, this build's really wacky, but oh, Ice Strike. Who would have thought? Ice Strike's doing almost 5% on its own. And then it's really enabling Frost Shock, which is enabling us to have our wolves up all the time. Our wolves are doing 9.5% of our damage. It's crazy. So this is the build that I ran. I'm running Ellie Blast as my top tier talent, obviously. And then I'm running Ice Strike. You can see the damage of Ice Strike down here. And then I'm actually running Elemental Assault, not Hailstorm. I did take Ellie Assault to make the Storm Strike attacks do more damage. And also, the point is to generate stacks of Maelstrom Weapon because, of course, we are running Witch Doctor Wolfbones. That's the entire point of the build. So, flip back to the gameplay here. So, I have Hailstorm on right now, but I ran Ellie Assault, Ice Strike, Ellie Blast. Now, I'm going to explain why I did this, because nobody's ever taken this ability in the history of this game, and you're probably all wondering, like, it seems like a bit of a troll. It's actually not with my build. And the reason why is because, again, we're focusing so heavily on mastery, right? We have 65, 66% mastery with my food. Ice Strike does frost damage. So mastery increases my frost damage. You can see Ice Strike does 3,500 damage when I hit somebody with it. That's really good. Storm Strike only does 3k on its own. Sundering only does 4,200, and it's a 40-second cooldown. Ice Strike is an 11-second cooldown and gets reduced with haste. It goes down with haste. So my haste is helping this as well. So 3,500 damage is actually a lot. But the more important thing about Ice Strike is that it resets the cooldown on Frost Shock. This is so incredibly important. And it's important because of the conduit that we're running up here. So I flipped from the fire conduit of Magma Fist because we're not running a fire build at all. We're running an ice build in this fight. Frost Shock has a 60% chance to generate 2 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon. That's really, really good for Witch Doctor Wolfbones, because every time you generate a stack of Maelstrom Weapon, the cooldown of Feral Spirits goes down by 2 seconds. Okay? So, what this basically amounts to is a complete rotational change. This build is so incredibly different from anything I've ever run, and it's really, really cool, and it's the one I actually ran on Halondrus, and it works. And I'm going to talk about this build in an upcoming video because it deserves an entire build on its own. But just know that I'm running Ice Strike, Ellie Blast, Elemental Assault, and then, of course, Elemental Spirits. That's the build that I took into Halondrus. We're running Witch Doctor Wolfbones. I'm Necrolord still. The Conduits are the same, except that you're swapping out Magma Fist for Chill to the Core because it's focused on Frost Shock, and Frost Shock helps to fuel the Maelstrom generation in this build so that you can get the dogs out more quickly and just have huge uptime on your spenders like Lightning Bolt and Elemental Blast. So that's kind of how the build plays. Now I'm going to flip into the actual video, of course, and we're going to take a look at the fight. Let me just move over here. Let's get this over here. So sit back and grab your coffee. Let me get out of WoW so that I can move my notes over to here. So here we go. We're going to get going on this. The fight starts at about the 1 hour mark on the VOD. So we'll go back to here. This is actually really, really funny, and there's some opening sort of trolling that's going on. For context, the group that I got in with, they were actually a really wonderful group. I just could not handle what they were doing. And I'll explain it in the video, so just watch. You just need to pull the boss, you know? I know we want to communicate and stuff, but my God, just... This is really funny. Exactly. Just chill, everybody. Just let's go kill the boss. Don't do this, guys. Don't just sit here. Milk with coffee? No. It's coffee. They're making fun of my coffee. Judging my coffee. Jeepers. Discord is mandatory. Oh my God. Don't do this to people if you're pugging groups. Oh my God, he's gonna do a check? Are you serious? Don't do this to people. This is the fucking stupidest thing you can ever do. Just pull the boss and people will figure it out. They will. I was so done. I was just so done. I was just really tired. This guy basically demanded that we get into Discord. This is step 1 of the meltdown, the ZUCO meltdown, okay? So step 1, he demands that we get in Discord, and he's going to check if we're not in there. I don't want to add a whole other Discord channel to my... I just don't want to do that. Because it's frustrating. Because then I'm just going to delete it when I'm done. Don't make people do this. I'm going to do it because otherwise he's going to kick me, and I really want this boss fight. GG's. Look at me. I'm so reluctant. I'm like, I'm going to do it because, frick, I want to get this frickin' boss kill, and I'm just... but I don't want to do it. So I add the Discord. The reason I'm saying don't make people do this is because this is just unnecessary. I'm pugging this entire thing. And yes, some of these raid boss fights are really tough and require communication, but not Halondrus. Halondrus is not really one of those at all. It's all personal play, and I'll get into it in a minute once we get to the fight. I just want you to see it. It's really funny watching myself melt down here. So I get into Discord. In their stream. Keep myself muted. Honestly, I love the new raid. It's great. Somebody was asking about how I do love the new raid. It's really great. I don't love this. I don't love people forcing people to do Discord. It's just fine. It's just for Halondrus especially, there's just 2 things you need to pay attention to. The orbs that are coming in, you have to soak those orbs. There's little slow-moving water orbs that are going to get to him. I'll show you that. You have to bounce those back, and then don't get bounced off the edge on the intermission phase. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that is the main 2 things. Really. Fight. I'll show you that. This guy's freaking Discord and ugh. It's fine. We're in here now. See what they say.
Up, everybody.
Hello.
So they in here.
They talk for a minute.
She's about to be.
We're gonna skip ahead to the good part. Ready? You ready for this?
Okay. So the way this fight goes is you spread out in a circle around the boss.
Watch me in the bottom left.
There's a couple of mechanics in the first phase that you want to be aware of. One of them is that there's going to be orbs coming from these fissures in the ground toward the boss.
He explains the entire fight.
By getting between the boss and the orb, it knocks him back about.
Here comes the 10-minute explanation.
You have to do that continuously. You can just literally stand in one spot, and it'll bump into you, and you can bump it, back away from the boss. If one of those things gets to the boss, it's away. That's throughout the whole fight. He's going to target everybody in the raid with a circle. You got to spread. So. Yeah. After
we had multiple people watching the stream.
Seconds, it's going to make the ground.
This gets really good right here.
Bad. So you move away from that spot, move into a safe spot. There's not going to be a lot of them because there's a lot of people in this raid. So Make sure you get to a safe spot. The further away you can move from the boss with those circles,
Yeah, the whole
the
thing.
easier it's going to make it for everybody. Because
Yep, he's explaining the
you'll
whole
have
thing.
area to DPS. up
Zoe
close
was
the
trying to
boss
comfort
after
me,
the
but there was no
mechanic's done.
comforting this. Actually, I wouldn't call that
Pretty
comfort.
much phase 1. Phase 2, he's going to start moving. He's going to pick up his legs. He's going to move.
Look at me.
Stay in
Look at my
front of the
soul
boss.
just leaving my body.
During that phase, you're going to get targeted with the missiles again. You're going to have to spread. You want to try and do a little bit of DPS, but the most important thing is to spread and not take damage.
Imagine if we'd
If you
pulled this
stay in
boss
front of
twice
the
already.
boss, whichever direction
That would've
he's
been
going,
cool.
We can roar.
But
We have
no.
2 roars, 3 roars. We can
Yeah.
roar. We can get in front of them. There's a ability called.
Guys, don't do this to your raid group.
Get in
Don't
here.
ever do this. Just pull the goddamn boss. Yeah.
There's a knockback.
Just like
Okay.
people lose their minds because he's gonna explain this for 10 minutes, and people are gonna forget
tell
the
you when I
first
see
thing
it.
that he said or the first
Can't look
3
it up
things
right
that he
now.
said, and they're gonna
You
get
wanna
hit by
stay
it
in
and they're
front
gonna
of the boss,
die,
there's an
and they'll be
orb.
like, I explained
The
the whole
orb is
thing to
the
you. What the
object
hell's
that's
wrong
gonna
with you? It's like,
knock
well, you
you
took
back.
10 minutes to do that.
From the orb, you're going to get pushed
Just
off
pull the
ledge
boss.
if you're not in the right spot.
So this is universally just true. You need to explaining stuff is fine. It's fine, but what you really need to do is just explain like the biggest thing that people need to think about, because people will figure out like don't stand in the swirly and run away from like the thing that's going to kill you. People understand that. They're not stupid. So just tell them, okay, there's one big mechanic that we have to worry about here, and it is the orbs that are coming in that are going to like do big cosmic damage if they reach the boss. Bounce those back. Be watching for the orbs. And number 2, on the transition, when we're going to the next section, don't get knocked off the edge. That's it. Just put that in people's heads. People can only hold so much information in their head at a time. You start explaining the entire fight for 5-6 minutes, we're going to pull the boss and people are going to die to stuff because they forgot what you were talking about. So just don't do
Try and
this.
stay in a position where when he
It's not a good idea to do this. So let's get to the first pull. Here we go. We're almost at the first pull. This stuff is just really funny to watch me just absolutely lose my mind. So 107.40. Here we go. This is just my favorite part. Like, they just spend the whole time talking, and it's like, you just told me, like, if I'm a shit player, then you shouldn't have me in here. Like, if I can't avoid regular things on the ground, then I should not be in here. Yeah, exactly. You got the wrong guy. So here's the opening pull. I'm going to explain some mechanics of the boss fight. He does these tremors that go out. You just have to dodge them. It's very easy. Does not need to be explained. Light Shatter Beam is the tank mechanic. You saw that beam that was going out? It just hits the tanks. So the tanks have to kind of stand together, and you don't want to stand with the tanks. Very normal. That big beam. I don't want to be in the big beam that's going to kill me. Oh, my God. Thank you, sir.
you can spread out around the boss.
I was being really toxic. All right, I'm being pretty toxic. I'd had enough. I got to cut it out.
Coming, so just position yourself in front of it. And
There's the beam again.
everybody take
One of the
responsibility.
more important mechanics is coming up here. I'm going to explain it in a second.
Oh, don't worry about that one. Miss.
There's orbs. See this orb up here? That just little light thing that moves in? This guy just bounced the orb back, okay? And you have to keep doing that. There's another orb right here. And there's another one like up over here. You can see them. You have to bounce those back. So see how it's moving in towards this guy? Very slowly. He goes and he bounces it right now. Watch this. Boing. He bounces it. There we go.
Spread, go away from the
This
boss.
is an important mechanic. So this is a little missile thing that comes down. Earthbreaker missiles. What's important about it is that you need to pull it away from the boss and let it drop, and then you'll create a zone where you can go back into the boss and keep doing melee damage. So we run out,
Run back to
and then we run back in and see this is all safe, because these will detonate. Once they land on the ground, they're going to detonate.
spot.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. They all detonate.
Pros. I'm not gonna.
So it's important to just, as it's being cast on you, like you want to stay have as much uptime on the boss as you can possibly get. That's really important for enhancement shamans. You want to stay in melee, and then at the last second you want to move out. The meteor will land on you, and then you can move back in because you've created a little pocket there where you can stand. That's pretty important. And while you're moving out away from the boss, you can use abilities like Frost Shock and your Lightning Bolt that's been empowered, and Flame Shock, and maybe Elemental Blast if it's up, or your Primordial Wave if it's up. You can use your ranged abilities for the 2 seconds that you have to run away from, so you don't lose any DPS. That's actually really important. All right, he's a nice guy. All right, he's a nice guy. I'll admit it. Okay, we gotta go. It's time to go. So we're not going yet. This is where he does reclaim. See all the orbs? The boss will sit here and do this thing called reclaim, where he sucks all the orbs in a lot faster than normal. See how fast they're moving? And you're getting pulled in too. If you get into the middle, it does a lot of damage. So This is when you can pop your defensive, and then you bounce back the orbs. Take turns bouncing them back. All right, here we go. Time to go, baby. Now, the boss doesn't leave yet. Not leaving. We haven't done enough damage yet. You have to do enough damage to phase him. This entire fight is literally a DPS and HPS check, especially by the end. There's just like it's just a hard enrage at the end, and you have to beat it. Here comes Earthquaker missiles. I move out at the last second, and there's a little zone there. Now I can stand really close and do my damage, right? I don't want to stand in this beam, obviously. There, he's moving now. Now he's moving. So this is what happens. This happens twice in the fight. He goes from stage 1 to stage 2, stage 2 to stage 3. This is the transition piece. You can keep doing damage to him while he's moving, and you need to do lots of damage to him.
Give it a roar.
As you're moving, give it a roar.
Get 3 people dead. Phase 1.
3 people are dead in phase 1. Do you people know who you are? 3 of you are dead. That doesn't really help either. Calling out the fact that people died. They know they're dead. They're on the ground. They're laying on the ground. They know they're dead. They know they screwed up. They're not happy about it. You don't have to bring it up again. Like, anyway, it's fine. I'm being nitpicky. So this will happen again. These meteors will happen again. Oh, you have to be very careful. If you overlap with somebody else, you'll get hit by both meteors and you'll die. You'll just straight up die. So do not overlap that with anybody. But you keep walking.
This clear looking thing right there. You want to get in.
So this is really important. He's explaining the mechanic right now. This orb is going to detonate. And wherever you are relative to that orb, you'll get bounced back away from that orb. So you have to be... There's the edges here. Look at the edges of this encounter. That's just open space, and there's open space to the left. If you get bounced into these spaces, you're dead.
On the other side of that,
so
the orb and the wall.
He does shatter. He starts to detonate the orb. I'm going to get in front of it. I'm right in front of this little area here so that I get bounced in the right direction. There we go. He's doing a good job. And you can feral lunge back if you screw it up. Enhancement Shaman should never die to this mechanic. Even if you screw it up and you position yourself very poorly, just have feral lunge ready to go and you can dash back in mid-flight. He's doing a good job. I'll give him that. He's fine. I was being really hard on this guy. He did explain the fight for way too long. Don't ever do that, but he's a really nice guy. He was a good raid leader. It's fine. He's just taking too long. You're just losing everybody when you take that long. Oh no! I got hit by both of them there. It's on normal, but I almost died. See my health? I was at 10% HP, so I had a shield. Luckily, I got a shield, or I would have died. So there's another orb going off over here that's going to bounce us away. In 3, 2, 1, bounce. So this one's not as dangerous because there's no edges here. He's made it to stage 2. Okay? He digs back in, and he just repeats phase 1. He does the beam on the tanks, the little orbs start floating in that you have to bounce, and he does that big missile shatter thing that you have to take out. That's all it is. It just repeats. Okay? There's nothing we're settling in for a year with this guy. He's like...
If you want to tell me what got you?
This is just the first wipe. So, transition, orbs knock you back, blah, blah, blah. There's another funny moment here. My chat was really funny. They were asking, we were kind of making fun of the guy, but we'll skip past some of that stuff. So, I'm actually going to transition right to the last phase of the fight because this is you pretty much know the entire mechanic now. So, let's go to
Lance.
Oh yeah, right here, the guy goes, "What did you die to?" And the guy goes, "I died to Lance."
The boss mechanic.
And the guy just says, "Oh, that's just a regular boss mechanic." It's not. It's the tank mechanic. So the tank screwed that up. So Lance is supposed to hit the tank. So if it hits a DPS, it'll kill them right away because it does a lot of damage. And it also means that the tank does not have aggro. So that was a mistake on the tank mechanic. If you're tanking this boss, you need to make sure that you're holding aggro like that. No, Lance is a tank mechanic.
Get the orbs away from the boss.
So we're doing orbs again. We're going to skip ahead to here. 212. So we're in phase 3. We have now transitioned all the way to the last area. We've done a second transition phase. And it's the same thing. You just have to get bounced in the correct direction by the orbs and watch out for the meteors that are coming down. This is the final burn phase, and you should save Lust for this last phase because what he does is he's going to dig into the ground and he's going to start pulling in the orbs really quickly like he does every time. And it's just going to stay like that until the fight's over. And it's really difficult to manage. We died so many times on this fight because people weren't bouncing back those orbs. They were getting to the boss. And if they get to the boss, they do raid-wide damage. They detonate and kill everybody. So he does a whole bunch of ground effects that you have to dodge. Okay. There's the beam on the tank.
Right, so
And you can see the orbs on the outside. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 orbs. There's one over here, and there's one over here. They start coming in really quickly.
I switched sides here.
I switched to the other side because it felt like there weren't enough people.
Yeah,
You need to
let's go.
spread your raid out so they can all absorb different
get
orbs
one
that are
hunter
coming
to
in.
Go around. Let's get L.
The raid leader does a really cool job here in that he sends somebody around to go collect the orbs, to be on pure orb duty. So they're not really doing a lot of damage, but he sent a hunter to do it. So hunters can continue to shoot the boss from range and still do at least a little bit of damage while focusing on collecting the orbs. I actually don't think this is a bad idea. I think it's a good idea.
Go around and
If you're doing this fight for the first time,
pick off those orbs.
getting a ranged DPS, particularly a hunter because they can move and shoot at the same time, that's really helpful, and they can go focus really hard on picking up the orbs so that everybody else can just focus on doing damage. Look at how fast the orbs are coming in. So the hunters are running around right now. They don't actually have to turtle.
Second hunter. Let's get Robin Hood. Go around.
Well, whatever. They can turtle if they want to,
Turtle,
but it's
grab
fine.
orbs.
It helps them absorb the damage, so they're doing a good job. He's calling for each hunter to take turns running around and turtling and picking up the orbs, which is a good strategy. Nothing wrong with that at all. That was a really good call by the
Gonna
raid
get
leader.
him.
Great. Gray, you're up next.
This just keeps going. He just keeps
Go
doing
around,
beams,
turtle, get some orbs.
and the orbs keep getting pulled
This is
in.
the hard part right here.
I'm in a position where I'm ready to absorb orbs, but there's none anywhere near me, so I'm kind of getting lucky. But I would have helped if there was one near me.
And Wheats, you're gonna get ready.
I kind of move
for
over here so I can absorb this one.
turtle and
so it
grab
bounces
some
back,
orbs
see
in a
that?
second here.
I gotta get away from the beam, obviously. That
Right
tank's
about
doing a good
now,
job.
Go ahead and turtle and grab some orbs.
He gets the last hunter to go turtle. We take a lot of damage here because one of the orbs. See how everybody took a big chunk of damage there?
Turtle and grab
Watch
some
this.
orbs in a
Watch the entire raid, all the health bars. They're gonna get chunked here. Right.
Right about now, go ahead and turtle and grab some orbs.
Right here. See this? Boom. That means one orb got to the boss. So you can't have that happen. Everybody's like in dire straits now. So if like 2 orbs make it to the boss, you die. Because
We're
not only does it do damage, it also puts a dot on you. So it's just you can't have it
Oh.
happen.
Orb must have got to him.
Yeah, I don't.
We
I
got
don't.
him. We got him. We got him.
Oh, get a
never
rain
mind.
car here. Get up. There we go. And we get him down.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Woo! That was tough. We did probably 15 pulls or something, and it's a long fight. So
Rule of thumb.
now we're gonna see if I get a tier piece.
All right, let's see
'Cause-
if we get it. Imagine if we get a tier. Guess it, guys.
Are we
He
gonna do
drops
it?
one. Are we getting a tier set
Oh,
piece?
shit. Got the leg
But
mod.
Rupin got it. The guy,
Oh, he got it.
which is the guy who was talking the whole time.
Damn.
So we didn't get one, but that's okay. That's the fight. So we did 7.4K overall with this new build that I'm going to talk to you guys about in a video, I think, tomorrow. But that's the fight in a nutshell. The biggest things to really remember are that the missiles that come down, that you have to pull away from the boss and then come back in to do damage, and be doing your rotation while, like, do things like Frost Shock and Lightning Bolt, LE Blast. Do those things while you're running away because it increases the damage output, right, that you're able to sustain. So that's something that you should do. Now, what else is the most important mechanic? Well, it's those orbs, of course. That's what we were kind of talking about for most of the fight there, is that there's those orbs that you're going to be working on. So it's these missiles, Earthbreaker missiles, to watch out. The beam and the lance are both tank mechanics. And let me just move this over here. And then the ephemeral eruption is if an orb reaches him, it does 20,000 damage on normal. Like, it's so much damage. Imagine on heroic, it'll just kill you, I bet. It does 42,000 damage on heroic, so that would almost kill me. So, plus it puts a dot on you. So you just can't, these orbs cannot reach the boss. Those are the two biggest mechanics. Push back those little orbs so they don't get to the boss, and then move the missiles away from the boss. And that's it. On the transition, just make sure that you're correctly positioning yourself so you get bounced back the right way on the transition. And that's like the entire fight. That's it. It's just orbs and then these Earthbreaker missiles. That's it. Everything else is sort of inconsequential. You just have to, like, focus on that kind of stuff. So just be, like, this is, I think, a really good lesson. In my head, it was a good lesson in, like, how raid leading is really important. When you're leading a group of people like that, you don't want to waste their time. And in particular, people will just leave. If it's a pug group, people will just leave if you're taking too long to get things going. So people aren't stupid. Most people are pretty smart, and you have to bank on them being at least slightly intelligent enough to understand what you're saying and to understand that they can just intuitively dodge things like tremors and dodge missiles that are going to come get them, and figure out what to do with those mechanics without you having to sit them down and talk through it step by step by step. It's just a bad way to lead people, because in this game anyway, because it's just really, really slow, and it's not really that helpful. So I just think that you need to be you know, this guy was obviously very slow. We ended up getting the kill because he was a wonderful guy, but at the end of the day, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. Just get in and pull the boss. People will learn from experience. That's the best way that people can learn, is just through experience. But we were patient. We got through this. I was a little bit toxic, not going to lie, but we ended up getting through it and getting the kill. And that's Halondrus. That's the whole fight. We did, in fact, run a really janky, weird build that I'm going to talk about tomorrow that does involve Ice Strike, and I'll explain why I took that build into this fight, why it's so important. And yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for Halondrus. I do have a couple more raid bosses to do. I still want to do Skolex and Lihavim. We're going to get those down, and then I need to try and kill Anduin so that I can get another shot at a tier piece. That would be really good. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it. We're really close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to push for that. We're over 900 now. And if you want to like the video, I'd really appreciate that too. Until the next one, see you later.